ladies. Happy Wednesday, and thank you for being here for this week's live training. Today we are talking about the question, is doing more exercise the answer to reaching your goals? So yesterday in the Mythbusters post, we posted about which one of the three things you think is a myth. Two were correct, kind of like two truths and a lie. Two were correct, one was not correct, and we're going to talk today about basically all three of those. So I'll give you the answer in that one. Let me just double check real quick and make sure that we are in fact live in the group. I have had it happen before that I've started talking and it never shared in the group. So I learned my lesson. Okay, I see us here. All right. So let's just jump right into it. Now, imagine you are on a weight loss journey, which maybe you really are right now. And you're eating well, you're exercising, and you're losing some weight, but then maybe you start getting a little bit impatient and you think, if this is working, then maybe if I do more, it'll work faster. Or maybe you're in a situation where you're like, I'm not losing any weight. Maybe I just need to do more. And you start to do more, except that doing more did not produce the results that you expected. So why did that happen? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Unfortunately, the more is better mentality has probably pushed more women further away from their goals than it has helped. And we're going to talk about why as soon as my dog settles down and quits scratching herself and making a lot of noise. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. She's just staring at me like, what? So number one, not necessarily the number one reason, but the first reason that I'm going to talk about is that doing more and more and more is simply unsustainable. You just can't. You can't keep doing more forever. It isn't realistic. Eventually you're going to burn out. Or just simply life happens, maybe you're in school or you're working or both, or, you have a family member you need to help take care of, or you're volunteering, or maybe work gets busy, whatever, all life, life just happens, and then you can't keep up with the doing more. And oftentimes especially when we're in this mentality of do more, do more, do more, when life happens and we can't do more any longer, oftentimes we revert to the opposite extreme and we're like, well, what's the point? And you just quit and give up and then you're doing nothing. So the do more thing is just simply not sustainable. The real key to weight loss and sustainable weight loss and weight loss that you don't gain back again and as soon as you're done is to build it into your lifestyle as just part of life. And if what you're doing is unsustainable, it's just simply not part of life anymore. So like, for example, extreme diets or things where not everything, but food groups or things get cut out like keto. It's not sustainable long term. And what often happens is when we go back to our normal way, we gain all the weight back. And sometimes you gain it back plus some more. So like diets like Optavia, absolutely beyond ridiculous. Those diets do so much damage to your body even while you're on it. And then further, what happens when you get off of it is you gain all your weight back and then some. Pointless. So whatever it is that you're doing, it has to be sustainable for everyday life. And that includes exercise. So the more is better mentality, simply unsustainable. Number two, when we're in that mentality of doing more exercise, most likely you're probably also cutting calories as well. And what we know, what science tells us, is that when we are in too much of a calorie deficit, and that comes from either cutting down food, doing more exercise, or a combination of the two, and most often it's the combination of the two, we know that this can lead to muscle loss. Muscle loss is already a concern for any woman in her 30s or older. So what we don't want to do is set our body up to where we are creating this perfect storm of even more muscle loss by creating an extreme calorie deficit, either through, like I said, cutting out food, exercising too much, or a combination of the two. The calorie deficit also will limit the intensity of your workouts. So when you are going to work out and you think you're going hard, you just plain don't have the energy because you don't have the energy coming in. You don't have the energy to get through those hard workouts, and your workouts will begin to suffer in addition to the muscle loss. So number 3, your body is really smart. When there aren't enough calories coming in to sustain your activity level, again, if we're exercising to an extreme, your body knows that it needs to then restrict calories by focusing on fueling only the absolute necessary things like breathing, like temperature regulation, maybe some digestion. Actually, digestion is one of the things that gets inhibited. What am I trying to say? Digestion is not great when we don't have all of our calories coming in. So our body focuses on those main things like this person needs to breathe. This person needs to not overheat. And so then it does not send as many calories to fuel the lesser necessary, not activities, but functions in your body. And this also means that your body will do things like reduce active thyroid hormone that's going through your body, setting you up for thyroid issues. It decreases sex hormone production, and it increases adrenal stress hormones, specifically, but not limited to, cortisol. So we know many of you, if you've been here for a length of time, you have heard me talk about cortisol a lot, because chronically high cortisol is a huge issue for women. I would say these days, but I feel like probably forever. We are constantly doing a lot. And I don't just mean exercise. I mean life. We are balancing family. We're balancing work. We're balancing school. Sometimes we take on other people's issues because that's just what we do as compassionate women, right? So these situations create internal stress, which increases our cortisol. Cortisol is one of our belly fat hormones. So when we have a whole lot of fat mostly stored in our belly area, it could be a real good chance you have high cortisol. Chronically elevated cortisol will lead to leptin and insulin resistance, and both of those are unhealthy hormonal states that will promote body fat, so it holds on to fat, and water retention. So not only do we have issues now where obviously our body has more fat on it than we want, but now we're also holding on to water and creating bloating, creating joint pain, things like that from inflammation. Both of those things can absolutely cause long-term health issues far beyond just having trouble losing weight. Other complications from an energy deficiency, again, when we have an extreme calorie deficit, we've either cut out food, we've cut out, or we're exercising too much, or a combination of the both, include amenorrhea, which is the loss of your menstrual cycle for more than 3 months, or a irregular menstrual cycle for more than 6 months. Metabolic adaptation, where your body will naturally down-regulate to match the energy coming in, to match the calories coming in. And this happens without you even realizing it, and it makes your cells really efficient at getting energy. So you need less energy to survive. So in other words, you're not burning as many calories when you're at rest, so you have to eat less food to lose weight, to the point where it leads to potential malnutrition because you're not eating enough food to get adequate vitamins and minerals. Okay. Number 4, when you push for more exercise, you are setting yourself up to absolutely, very likely have an overuse injury. Your body is not recovering properly because you're experiencing, or you could be experiencing, extreme soreness, joint pains or joint aches, tight muscles. Some overuse injuries, they're usually muscle or joint related, like tendonitis, stress fractures, shin splints. All of these kinds of things are overuse injuries. So you're doing the same repetitive movement way too much. And we oftentimes have this no pain, no gain mentality, which is absolute sheer insanity. That's one of my least favorite phrases in the world. No pain, no gain is no bueno. It just perpetuates the cycle of us working too hard, leading to overuse injuries, and it just continues. So how do you know if you are exercising enough, if you're exercising too much, if you're exercising not enough? And it's really hard to say. That question is really, really personal based on a lot of different things. Number one, based on your goals. Another thing, it's based on your exercise experience level. So like how used to exercise are you? Your schedule, like your just life, right? Remember this, whatever you choose to do has to be sustainable. It has to be something that you can continue to do in life forever. So by doing too much, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to have this conflict with your schedule, and then you're just like, I can't keep up, and then we give up. You also want to make this decision based on your results. Are you getting results with your current level of diet and exercise? Obviously, if you're not, then you're going to want to change things. Your capability to handle and recover from stress plays a huge part in this decision, along with your sleep and with your just general recovery from your workouts. So not just recovering from like stressful situations, but recovering your body and your muscles recovering. My personal philosophy is and always will be that we want to use in any of these situations, whether we're talking calorie deficit or exercise, using the minimum effective dose. So what I mean by that is we want to do the smallest amount necessary to effectively work towards your goals. If you start slowly and you start adding exercise, evaluate your results, make decisions, and go from there. This will allow you a little bit of wiggle room. So if you start out by doing crazy tons of amounts of exercise, and then you end up running into any of these complications that I mentioned above, overuse injuries, hormonal imbalances, whatever, all this stuff, then you're pushing yourself further away from your goals than you are working towards your goals. So we want to start with minimum. In fact, when I have new clients join me that are not, they're not used to exercising, or maybe just minimal, maybe just walking or things like that, I don't actually give them any cardio to start out. We focus on strength training because we know that more muscle means faster metabolism. Faster metabolism means burning more fat. And then as their body gets used to exercising and gets in the habit of making exercise a 2, 3, 4, or 5 day a week thing, maybe not so much 5, 2, 3, 4 days a week, then I will go ahead and start adding in a little bit of cardio to it. So kind of like we said before, you want to adjust your body based, or adjust your exercise based on your experience with exercise. Don't go ham in the very beginning, because then where do you go from there? So minimum effective dose on your calorie deficit. That means don't cut your calories way crazy down. You want to cut them slowly, because once you cut them way down, you have nowhere to go once you plateau. So you want to cut slowly, add exercise slowly. Okay, so let me know what questions you have in the comments. I would love to hear them. I am always, always, always looking for ideas for what topics you would like me to talk about in future live trainings. I have none scheduled right now because I'm kind of stuck on what to schedule. So if you have any ideas, even if it's just like a big generic idea, something that I can pull from, I would love, love, love to hear it. Go ahead and leave that in the comments or send me a DM. That's absolutely okay anytime. And I think that's it. So don't forget to check out the engagement post on Friday for Free Shit Friday. I will be picking a winner to win a gift card on Free Shit Friday. So make sure you come back to the group on Friday and look for that post and go ahead and answer the question. Sometimes it's silly, sometimes it's not. We'll just have to wait and see. But please always feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if there's anything I can ever do to help. And I would love to hear what more topics you have for future live trainings. So drink your water, eat your protein, go do something awesome this week. I'll talk to you later.